Hey everybody, Mike Naso here with the latest on Tropical Storm Erin and Tropical Storm Dean in the Atlantic Basin. First, the grand scheme of things, our two systems. This right here is Erin, newly upgraded, and it's looking pretty good. A lot of convection bursting, good banding features, very good outflow in upper level environment and low shear, very hot water, but it will be running into land in about 24 hours, maybe less, and that will inhibit it from becoming a hurricane, although if it wraps up quick, it might get up towards 60, 65 miles an hour. It could get close, but it should go into landfall before it really has a chance to wrap up. On the other hand, we have Dean, which is wrapping up and could become a hurricane even as early as late tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. However, this is going to be moving in through the islands and into the Caribbean and become what will likely be the season's, not only the first hurricane of the season, likely the first major hurricane. And so it could be an extremely dangerous hurricane in the Caribbean. So we're going to talk about all these features. First of all, Erin, you can see winds 40 miles an hour, gusting to 50, 1005 millibars, moving west-northwest at 11. And that position is 25.6, 93.5. You can see we have tropical storm warnings and watches for areas of the central southern Texas coastline here. As a lot of the rainfall and impact is to the north of the system, you can see the center is still pretty parallel to northern Mexico. However, the west-northwest track will likely allow a landfall in Texas. You can see it on the latest IR there, looking very impressive center down in this area here. It is bursting though, and the convection is rather deep. Those waters are very, very warm, and that's why we're getting that intensification. You can see the visible there looking good as well. And on the radar, you can see it starting to come into range. The center position, again, is right out in this general area right here. And a lot of the rainfall is coming. You can see this one band. This is going to bring some nasty weather anywhere from really Lake Charles all the way down to the areas here around Corpus Christi. So this is a large band coming in. And the one thing folks in Texas do not need is more rain. They've had a lot of rain down there and they don't need more, but Erin will bring it. You can see the model guidance is pretty tightly clustered somewhere in the South Texas area, maybe between Brownsville and Corpus Christi, and we can see a landfall there, and the Hurricane Center is in the middle of that guidance as well. However, they do note that it might start to, hang around for a while down here and dump copious amounts of rain, which, as mentioned before, is not needed. In the Atlantic, here's Dean. Okay, now Dean has winds now up to 60 miles an hour, gusting close to hurricane force. Pressure down 997 millibars, is moving west at 19 and is at 12.4, 46.0, and so it's past the 45 marker and starting to get now towards 50 later tonight, tomorrow. And by tomorrow night, it could be a hurricane, although as mentioned, if it continues to wrap up, it could be a hurricane sooner. And the Hurricane Center has it as a major hurricane by Monday morning, the start of the work week here near Jamaica. But note the projected path. It could be as far north as the Northern Islands into the Bahamas. It could be as far south as the windwards, and then way down here towards Honduras and Nicaragua. However, the likelihood is somewhere more in the middle. And again, the uncertainty gets greater as you move beyond the islands, so there's still a great deal of uncertainty. You can see the latest satellite image of it. Look at that. A tiny, tiny tropical storm. It might get bigger once it moves into the Caribbean, but for now it's tiny. But look at that beautiful coil outflow pattern, fantastic. The shear let up, and so it's been intensifying. Zoom in on that and look at that. That is a system that is at least very close to becoming a hurricane, and that's why I say if it keeps this up, we might even see an eye start to pop out. As the Hurricane Center noted, it might become a hurricane sooner rather than later. You can see the model guidance again. The Canadian keeps taking it way out up here, which doesn't look as likely. It continues in its track, but look at the wonderful, aside from the Canadian, look at the wonderful clustering we have here. This is fantastic model agreement. I mean, when you got them this close together, that means that they're in good agreement up to the islands. So the middle islands, the leeward, maybe the northern windwards. Looks like Barbados here, that's kind of where you look to see where the windwards kind of start down here in Trinidad, Tobago, Grenada. The Grenadines, the windwards, the leewards, the Virgin, It looks like it might come through the leewards, and it could be a pretty nasty hurricane as it does that. From there, they start to diverge. Some take it a little bit more towards the north, others continue it more towards the west. Right now, it is unknown, but if you live in Jamaica or eastern Cuba and Haiti, and even the Cayman Islands, or if you're going on vacation down there, be on the lookout. We could have a pretty dangerous major hurricane by Monday, Tuesday in this general area, looking a little bit like that. So you got to keep a close eye on it. You can see the NAM here in 84 hours on Sunday has it right about in here. That looks a little too slow, but we'll see if it pans out. You can see here's been the satellite. I've been saving these images every day since the 12th, and you can see the storm has been moving very quickly. So if you look at the pace of the system, you'd probably talk about this time tomorrow maybe being in here, and then this time on Friday approaching the islands. Saturday, Sunday, it could very well be well into the Caribbean. Although it might slow down a bit, it's been fluctuating, but right now about 18 miles an hour. You can see in the Western Atlantic satellite where our system was on the 13th. In the Western Caribbean, you can see how that's progressed now, and certainly look at yesterday and today, certainly a big difference, and the pattern with it is very favorable with ERIN, and you can see it's certainly looking well organized as it continues towards the Texas coast. Now, heat potential, first of all, in the Gulf, nothing to worry about. That's why the cloud tops are bursting with those deep reds. The waters are extremely hot, although not nearly as hot as the Western Caribbean. That does look like where Dean's headed, and if it gets in there, we could be talking about some phenomenal strengthening. For now, it's starting to get close to 50, so the waters are going to get warmer, and the environment will get more moist as it moves into the islands, and we could certainly see very, very deep intensification. Notice how hot the waters get, the heat potential right through the islands. I am very concerned that we could be having a 100-mile-an-hour hurricane that's feeling like 130 miles an hour because it's intensifying as it moves through. That could happen. Remember Maryland back in 95. As for the wind shear, our system ERIN in the Gulf has a very favorable anticyclone over the top of it. However, as mentioned, it's going to run into land, so it's got to do all the strengthening before that, and it probably won't get to hurricane strength. You can see Dean still feeling a little bit of easterly shear, but in general it's letting up as it's moving into this very favorable 5 to 10 knots. And in fact, if you look at the tendencies, you can see that even better. Very favorable couple of days ahead for it, and this should all move in the general direction. And with the ridging to the north, once it gets in the Caribbean, it'll be favorable there as well. Now, behind Dean, I did want to note that we have two tropical waves. This one here is looking pretty interesting, and this one's looking very well organized. And keep in mind, the next name on the list is Felix, and then Gabrielle. And so we'll wait and see where Felix and Gabrielle may come. August 15th, middle of the month. We got about 1 month till the peak, so things are certainly active. Central Pacific, Flossie down here, most of the moisture has gotten kind of pooled up as the wind shear has kicked in, and you can see the latest here on it winds of 50 miles an hour, far cry from the near 150. It was 140 the other day, so it's about 90 miles an hour weaker, which is a big difference between a Cat 4 and a tropical storm. It certainly fell apart overnight, and it has turned to the west. Now it's going to get close and potentially cross the date line here by Monday and weaken and be a remnant low, or so they think. We'll have to keep an eye on it. It's been tenacious. You can see the warning still out for the big island there in Hawaii, and you can see the radar through time as this system came up and then weakened and turned west, and it's now off the radar screen. But certainly Flossie, a nasty little system. Although they haven't really gotten rain, the waves have been the big impact with that storm. Finally, in the Western Pacific, CPAT is a super typhoon, winds of 155 miles an hour, near Cat 5 intensity, expected to become a Cat 5 and continue up here with winds of between 150 and 160 miles an hour, and it will impact Taiwan as a very extreme system, and then be maybe even a Cat 3 by Saturday, Sunday, heading up towards China, and you can see it on satellite there. Very impressive system, very dangerous. Heading up towards Taiwan. Watch out if you're there. I'm Mike Nasel. I'll have the latest on the storms in the next couple of days as we see what Dean will do, as well as the landfall of ERIN. Stay tuned tonight on the Tropical Roundtable. Zach and I will be on with the latest. Give us a call if you want to. Phones will be up.